UK, Windows.
Zindabad.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another drive time with your dream team, self-made dream team that is here. Mashallah, first of all, I have to sincerely apologize for being late. My fellow comrades, my fellow dream team colleagues were here on time. It was me stuck in famous London traffic.
As usual.
So unfortunately, it got me. It took me over 2 hours to get to the studio where it usually takes 15 minutes. So you can imagine what I went through. But alhamdulillah, we're ready, we're in, we're finally here. The dream team is ready to go. Firstly, just giving everyone a big shout out there. Ramadan's already hit the 9th day, Brother Wes.
Wow. 9th day is flying by, absolutely
Sorry,
flying
Wes,
by.
this shows you because we're late. We're trying to rush through our segment.
Assalamu alaikum wa
First of all, I have to say
rahmatullah. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah, I'm good. You didn't even ask how are you?
I didn't ask you how you're doing. How's the Rosa going? I've just gone straight in there.
What, alhamdulillah, Rosa's going good. Ramadan is, you know what, it's going too quick. It's the 9th day that's already gone, and before we know it, next week's going to be the 15th day, and before we know it, it's going to be over. So let's all try to make the most of it, inshallah. Halim, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How you doing, bro?
Wow, look at the
Alhamdulillah, bro. You know what? Same thing. 9th Rosa is flying by, bro. First Ashra's almost over. But yes, like you said, let's make the most
You must
of
be
it.
happy though. School holidays.
Bro, why do you think I'm so pumped?
He's ready to take the drive time into the weekend.
I'm
and
willing.
knowing that he's gonna have a week off as well, mashallah.
me,
But the listeners out there, guys, I need to set the mood for the next couple of hours. Basically, firstly, as usual, we'll have myself, Brother Was, Brother Abdul Halim, the dream team, discussing a few things, talking about hopefully the deed of the day. As usual, get us live on Facebook on Ramadan FM 2018. Go on YouTube and search Ramadan FM 2018 OS.
Yes. Ramadan FM 2018.
So we're live on both portals. Interact with us. We will be reading out your Facebook chats, Facebook comments. I know the other presenters, I don't know what it is with them. They just get lazy or they get nervous. They don't seem to check their Facebook live comments, but we're quite active.
I'm sure they know how to use Facebook.
I'm sure they know how to use Facebook, but they don't seem to be checking their messages. But we will be reading out all your messages as well, inshallah. So guys, stay in touch with us. Tell us how we're doing. Just to let everyone know what we intend to do, as we'll be discussing the Deed of the Day next. From that, we will be taking on Sister Alia Zaman, who, wow, is going to be talking about forced marriages, which is quite a challenging and daring topic, especially after the first conviction that has taken place 2 days ago on forced marriages. So we'll be discussing that with her and her experiences in dealing with women who have been going through forced marriages as well. So it'll be interesting. So that will be a hard hitting topic and a quite intense discussion, I'm hoping, inshallah. From that, naturally, the dream team has to lighten the mood. We have Brother Salman Malik, the king of freshy comedy, they call him. That will be on the phone, inshallah.
Do you think he's taking offense of that?
No, he that's what he calls himself. That is what he calls himself when he introduced himself.
The
king of
freshy
the freshy
comedian.
comedy.
The freshy
So,
comedian.
I mean, I actually heard him in one of the shows that I went to see him.
Yeah.
They actually presented him like that. So I don't know, he might take offense.
So that's the way you're going to bring him on as well, yeah?
We're going to bring him on. We're going to bring him on, say that, and we'll see what his reaction is. But yes, the king of freshy comedy, Salman Malik, who Brother Abdul Halim knows that over the year, he's getting bigger and bigger. His fan base is getting bigger. He's interesting. So we will have a little interview with him, how his journey is to become a comedian. Any Pakistani freshie that's come over here and become a comedian, that's going to be an interesting debate.
That's the first I've heard.
I would love to see what his parents are going to say. So that is going to be a question I'm going to ask him. And then, inshallah, if we have a little bit of time, we will do our final conclusion, our final banter that we have, and we'll go from there. But without any further delay, in terms of Ramadan, as Brother Was has mentioned, it is the 9th Ramadan today. I have to say, I do feel a little bit tired sometimes. I feel a little bit tired. It does hit you about this time, but I think,
You know what,
now,
alhamdulillah, you know what, this year has been okay. I've not felt it as much as I did last year.
Yeah.
And I can't say the rosé are any longer because they're about the same as well. So alhamdulillah, I don't know what it is. It's been, you know what, it might be all the watermelon that I'm eating.
Very good, Awais.
Yeah, because I eat probably about a quarter of a watermelon.
Is that per session?
Per session. Iftari,
Iftari, quarter.
No, you know what? Probably not quarter. Yeah, that's going too much because they're proper big watermelons as well. But alhamdulillah, you know what? You know what? It's a change from the coconut water that I was doing last year. So the watermelons,
the watermelons
doing
coconut
really
now.
good.
I'm doing a liter a day.
A
A
liter of
liter
coconut
of
water.
coconut water.
I heard that is unbelievable in terms of
is.
your the
It-
hydration.
you
But you know
what?
what? The coconut water that you get in the packets, is it the same as
It's
the
just
one
fake,
that you would
innit?
actually?
It's just
Yeah,
fake
it's fake.
juice,
You know
man.
what? They put all
Nah,
mixes
you
in
know
it.
what?
Yeah.
You know what?
You know what? They put ruafza in it. That's what it is, bro. They put
I think-
ruafza
I
in
think
it.
they put
no wonder
Ruafza
people are
in this
loving
one.
it.
Yeah.
But Marwan's not from concentrate. The one I get is not from concentrate.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, Halim,
Yeah,
just
that's
like
one
to
of the
point
fun-
that
you know,
out. Yeah.
you know, you gotta read. You gotta read before you buy, guys.
But
Not
anyway-
be a bass.
Anyway,
you know,
as you know, brother Halim, this this last week has been full. Radio Ramadan's had Ramadan FM's had tons of nutrition shows,
Yeah.
fitness shows.
Let's not talk about
This-
that.
We
Yeah.
won't even get
Yeah,
into
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll praise them and say, you know what?
Mashallah.
They've given the amount of menus that have been given out.
Yeah.
I think we will be able to last till next Ramadan.
But you know what? No one's
mashallah.
making. Everyone's still doing it with the samosa, the pakore, the kebabs. You know that's still happening.
You know
is
what?
that what you're doing, Abbas?
Yeah,
are you
of
still? Are
course.
you still the small sip
Of course.
Even the nutritionists
Yeah.
have taken it down a notch from 1 year saying, no, astaghfirullah,
Yeah, yeah.
no samosa pakora. Now what they're saying, bake it, brother.
But you know what?
Put spinach and feta in there, brother.
That's because you know what? I've been baking my samosa.
You've been baking
I've been baking my
There you
samosa,
go.
bro.
There you go. I'm proud to say I haven't had a samosa in
Are they
years.
triangle? Are they turn the right shape, or have you like been making?
probably round
They
Yeah,
go, a bit, they go a bit squarish.
They go a bit
but
squarish.
You know what? It's
But-
the healthier option.
Well, there you go, there you go. But as look, this is something we are quite passionate about. As people can tell, brother Abdelhim is our fitness man. You know, I'm trying to
Astaghfirullah,
get
bro.
there and imitate him.
Astaghfirullah.
Yeah, Awas is also, you know, he's undercover. But if people do a little, you know, I remember that what you did last year to me, Awas. I remember that. And you know what? It would be good to see a before and after picture of Awas from last
know
year
what?
to now. He's done well, man. He's done
He's
well.
done
He's
well.
lost
He
a bit of
has
weight.
done well.
He's eating
He's
healthy. He's doing well,
He
man.
has done
He's
well.
drinking a lot of water. So it's just a passion of ours. We would love if the producer, if Osman, Awas, allow us, if we could do a fitness show. I think we would give it our own twist. I know it's been overdone this week, but we will put it in
Bismillah.
and we will try. We will try, but
problem.
we will inshallah do an exciting show as well. Hopefully, maybe next week. Let's see. So now, obviously, apart from the fitness shows, a couple of new presenters of Drive Time.
Yeah.
Mashallah, this
Yeah,
year. You know what? I'm quite impressed.
Alhamdulillah, you know
We've
what?
had-
Overall with the shows, you know what? Each show's got a different twist.
Yes.
So you've got the more serious kind of shows.
Yeah.
You've got different guests coming in.
Yes.
We had on Wednesday. We had guests from various different mosques coming, and then you've got us.
Exactly.
Which, you know what? We don't need to say any more.
But you know what? You know what? Big up to brother Shwebi, who did the sports show for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And also brother Kamran, who came yesterday. You know what? I think I have to say this. I think it's the invasion of the bowl heads. Because
yeah,
all, I
that's it,
see,
yeah.
all I see out there is the bowlies. Yeah.
That's it. And you see
So
a
the
little
bowlies
shine
are-
on there as
the
well.
bowlies are taking over. And I was, you know what?
I'm getting there.
You know
I'm
what?
getting
this
there.
gorgeous boy here, yeah, we'll leave him we'll leave him now. But you know what?
I'm getting there.
You
bro.
might have to
I'm
join
getting
us,
there.
man.
That's
And
it.
become
Give it
part
a
of
few,
this
give it a
bowhead
few years.
revolution,
Give
man.
it a few years.
So, yep, big up to all those guys out there anyway. But guys, as the time is flying by, I'm gonna go on to straight away onto the deed of the day. We launched it last week. Obviously, it's been a little bit quiet. We haven't promoted it as much. Oh, I need to see a video, man. I need to see something. We need to get it
You know
out
what?
there, inshallah. Let's get it out
For
there.
next week. You know what? Before next week.
Before
inshallah,
next week, inshallah.
By Monday.
Because we want people to take benefit of Ramadan. And yes, you know, praying, keep it doing all your faraid. That is important. But get the deeds in there. Get the sadaqah jariyas in there.
It's the extras.
And inshallah, the extras, of course,
Yeah,
they're going to help.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
they are, you know, you were saying last week, Awas, 500 times more, 70 times more.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's all bonuses that we all need in this day and age that we're in. So let's start off. Let's put everyone on the spot like we did
Alright,
last
who's
week.
going first this
Brother
time?
Awas.
You know what? I don't mind going first.
God, Awas,
You know
tell us.
what? Today being Friday,
Yeah.
I thought, you know what? I'm going to make a little bit more effort of reading more durood upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Mashallah,
So that's the extra that, alhamdulillah, I've done. We all know
Mashallah.
about reciting durood on the Friday and reciting durood overall as well. So that's the little extra that I done today. So yeah, that's me. Just got call. Oscar go.
Wah,
So
wah,
whoever
wah.
you
He has
basically,
to drop his
wherever
line
you're
in there,
getting
innit?
everything
He
from,
has to drop his
obviously
line
that's
in
a-
there.
Well, even
so-
that's the deed of the
so-
day. He just passed some knowledge. Mashallah.
Mashallah.
So there you
Yeah,
go.
so obviously reciting the durood upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We know on Fridays the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam we get the reply from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And yeah, so I'll pass it on to you guys. What
Brother-
did you do, Halim?
Oh, brother Abdelhalim.
Right.
Go on.
Okay. Right. So on my way to the studio, I didn't drive in today, so I took the train and I take the TFL rail from Stratford. People know that.
That's-
I call that the train from hell. Right. you go into that train, it's like you're packed in there like sardines. So anyway, so
That's not your deed, though.
that's not my deed. I'm just
Okay.
telling, I'm just coming on to my deed. So
Okay.
anyway, so the train pulled up at Stratford, and as always, it's packed and there's about 1 million people on the platform waiting to get onto that train as well. So normally what I do is I just barge everyone out of the way, make my own way, and get onto the train.
At least you're honest.
Right. And there's a technique as well to get onto the train. You have to go through the middle. That's it, not on the side. But anyway, so normally what happens is people are coming off the train as well, and I literally just barge them out of the way and make my way onto the train. Anyway, today I thought, you know what? It's Ramzan. I don't wanna, put any bad, do anything bad here. Let me change this around and turn it into a deed. So anyway, people coming off, I let them off, and you know what, bro? I got in comfortably.
Wow.
Normally I struggle, but today by letting people off, I got on comfortably.
Are you sure, bro? Because you made it here on time. You got on normally, you know what? I know, yeah. Are you sure you didn't like give anyone a little nudge on the side, or
bro?
You know?
I'm telling you, I intentionally didn't give anyone a nudge on the side.
Okay, mashallah. So look,
great. Well done.
Look, good deed. The intention was there, and look how Allah made things easy for him. It's a little example, but that's it. The little that we do, and inshallah, Allah will reward us big as well, inshallah.
Inshallah.
I'm not saying that was a big reward, but
okay. Now myself, as you know, you remember last week, it was helping put the plates on the table.
Well, the cups this time,
bro. That's become routine now. I'm helping to prepare Sehris now. Can you believe? So that's you know what?
You're moving in the right direction.
I'm moving in the right direction. So Sehri was well, I don't know if I'm preparing him, but yeah, maybe mixing the yogurt or putting things on the table, making the tea. So I'm doing my bits to help the missus, So yep, that's one thing. Also, big shout out to my little son who's here in the studio. I'm hoping that we can get him live on and see what happens, see what he does.
Just see what happens.
See what happens. It'll be interesting. So it's his birthday today. So I'm just
we're
taking
birthday to Tahir.
Little Tahir. So we're taking him out on a nice.
Don't start mentioning anything
what's
about
your deed of the day, bro?
That's the deed. You're taking your son out. I'm helping my wife.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and also one of the most passionate thing, as you know, when it comes to charity. Today it was being Friday, being Jummah as well. Gave sadaqah. This is the day.
Mashallah.
You know what? Out of all the deeds, this is one of the most important things. So who hasn't when who's thinking about donating, obviously people can donate to Ramadan FM 2018 for the big appeal that we're doing there, or inshallah any other causes that they have in mind as well. But it's always good to give sadaqah as well. So that's a must as well.
Moreover, we would like to hear your deed of the day. So do message in on Facebook Live. We want to read out what your deed of the day or what day was. And again, it's not to show off. It's for motivational purposes.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it myself any better. Now, alhamdulillah, what we will be doing, as time is extremely short and I want to get the next guest in urgently and give her the maximum time to discuss this hot and interesting topic of forced marriages. So inshallah, guys, keep listening. Make sure you like us on Facebook on Ramadan FM 2018. Make sure you go on YouTube Live as well for those people that haven't got Facebook. And inshallah, tune in for this discussion next. So without any further delay, inshallah, we will be taking a short commercial break. And our next guest, Sister Alia, will be here shortly. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Our office is located at 62 Barking Road, East Ham, E6 3BP.
Why spend summer in your room when you can fly off to your dream destination with facilities like car hire and hotel bookings? Well, Flight Masters have got you covered. We offer holiday packages, city breaks and flights at the most reasonable prices with the best provision of services. So why delay? Call us today on 0203 598 9938 or visit our website at www.flightmasters.com.
Do you dream of traveling to those blessed lands where the beloved of Allah was born? Does your heart yearn for Medina, the city of the beloved? If it is your time to experience a spiritual journey words cannot justify, then join us at Sam Travel and Tours and book your Hajj and Umrah packages today. We offer group and tailor-made packages for all your requirements. Based on Romford Road in London, for our last 10 days Umrah package, please call us on 0208 478 8911.
Ramadan FM 2018.
The voice of British Muslims.
Emara
accountants provide a full range of accountancy and taxation services, including annual and management accounts, self-assessment, tax returns, VAT, bookkeeping and payroll services to all different types of businesses. With our in-house chartered accountants, you can be guaranteed to save money. Contact us now on 0203 432 9138.
कितनी बार कहा है कि घर को साफ रखा करो। मैं तो थक गई हूँ सफाई कर करके।
उफ, ये कॉकरोच, चूहे, कीड़े मकोड़े घर में घुस आए हैं। कहाँ जाऊँ, किसको बुलाऊं?
माँ, बहन, बीवी और बच्चे, किसी को भी इंसेक्ट्स नहीं लगते हैं ये अच्छे। So don't worry, I'll call City Pest Control. Deal with cockroaches, mice, rats, bed bugs, fleas, flies, all types of insects and rodents. 0203 633 0080 or 0770 279 8808. www.cpestc.com. City Pest Control, large enough to cope, small enough to care. All our technicians are British Pest Control Association qualified and we are regulated by the Royal Society of Public Health.
This Ramadan, visit Al Akbar's for all your meat and poultry needs. We buy only the highest quality meat and are HMC registered. We've got some amazing offers on all our products this Ramadan and we provide free local delivery for all our customers. We also cater for restaurants and large events, so no matter how big or small your order is, Al Akbar's is the name to remember. Visit us now at 51 to 53 Upton Lane, Forest Gate, E7 9PA or call us at 0208 472 5742. Al Akbar's, the name to remember.
Yo, bro! Cuzzy's getting married and I need to get hold of a car.
Yar, I know some boys who know some boys who know SPM Car Hire. They got the best cars in town. Rolls Royces, Ranges, Maseratis, Aston Martins. Cause you name it, they got it. With the best prices in town.
Sorted! Looks like I'm going to this wedding in a Range then.
They'll drop off the car and pick you up once you're done. Just give them a ring on 01798 397 916 or visit them online spmhire.com or find them on Instagram.
Looking for meat and groceries? Look no further than Waris Food Store in Walthamstow. Visit the store to view our special Ramadan offers. 420 Hull Street, Walthamstow, E17 9AA. Or for free delivery, call us on 0208 521 0000. We have fresh deliveries of poultry and vegetables every day. Waris Food Store in Walthamstow.
Reliant Solicitors fight to protect your legal rights. Our firm offers a wide range of services including immigration, family law, commercial law, civil litigation, personal injury, landlord and tenant disputes and employment law. Visit us at 602A High Road, 7 Kings, Ilford, IG3 8BU or call 0207 183 5439. Reliant Solicitors, where every client matters.
Bridgen Solicitors in Ilford, the name you can trust. We provide services in immigration, family law, landlord and tenant matters, commercial leases and civil litigation. We also deal in personal injury claim and road traffic accidents. Call us on 0203 475 4545. Visit us at 170 Cranbrook Road, Ilford, IG1 4LX.
Ramadan FM 2018.
The voice of British Muslims.
Atlantic Distributions. Whether it is frozen fish, marinated Lahori masala fish, or lamb offals, we have them available at very competitive prices. We are wholesale suppliers to restaurants, butchers, and caterers. Visit us at 51 to 53 Upton Lane, London, E7 9PA. Contact us on 07415 474 185.
Usman needs the adhesive to work. If not, his day will be a disaster.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Drive Time. And I'm still hearing the adverts here. I think Usman's coming in. Yeah, he's coming in. What's happening to the adverts? You put them down. As you can see, guys, live. We're gonna get the. I'm sure that's gonna be part of the bloopers where Moses is trying to work the controls. As everyone knows, Moses does not work the controls. Usually it's Brother Awas. But you know what? Today I'm trying my best. God knows what's gonna happen when people try to call in as well, inshallah. But let's see. We'll go from there. But anyway, we are here. Mashallah, we have Sister Alia Zaman who is here to discuss obviously forced marriages. But who is Sister Alia? Sister Alia is currently the trustee of the Asian Women's Resource Center. On top of that, I've known this sister for a very long time. She's been working with many charities, many social projects, a person who's actually on the ground doing some great work. Whether she's putting youngsters into employment or whether it's helping vulnerable women out there, she's on the ground helping these people, mashallah. Every time I see Alia, she's always saying to me, I've gone in this charity and I've sorted it out, and now my next project is on. So she's always bouncing to different charities and seems to be helping them out. Now, before we go into the forced marriages, gotta say, Assalamu alaikum, Alia, how are you?
Assalamu alaikum, I'm good. How are you all doing?
How's the Ramadan going?
So far, so good.
So far, so good, yeah?
Yeah, so far, so good.
Good stuff, mashallah. Now, before we go into obviously talking about forced marriages and, you know, the roots of this, what's going on with this whole scenario, we will talk about the Asian Women's Resource Center, which Alia is currently a trustee, see what kind of services they're doing, and just a little bit about it. So, Sister Alia, over to you.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. I'll give you just a brief. The Asian Women's Resource Centre is based in Brent. It will, as a charity, it shall turn 40 years old in the next 2 years' time. So that gives you an understanding of how well established it is. It provides a holistic service. It specialises within domestic violence and abuse cases. However, it also provides a lot of rebuilding and positive services like yoga, healthy eating, well-being. There's lots of social enterprises that will be starting in the next year or so. They also provide ESOL classes, upskilling women, looking at IT, etc. So in terms of the services that are available, anything that you need, the ground team that are within the facility who do the 9 to 5 are absolutely amazing. Very, very honored to be working with these women. They have a real empathy and a real understanding and want to change how the lives of South Asian women and all women in particular are deprived, and really want them to rebuild and look at their lives as they can achieve whatever they choose. So pretty much it's a really good service. It covers a lot of different areas.
I was just going to say, because I encourage everyone to go on the website.
Obviously, definitely.
What's the website?
The website is Asian Women's Resource Centre, which is quite easy. They are based in Brent, but they do cover pan-London projects with several partnerships across London. There's a specialist service that they're providing at the moment where they're providing domestic violence and abuse specialized training. So if anyone's interested in that, you can get in touch with our director, Sabji, and she will happily talk to you about our next dates. We also have a number of fundraising events, etc. coming up. So by all means, go on the website or give the centre a call and somebody will give you all the information that you need.
No, mashallah, the centre seems to be quite active and quite
very active,
quite instilled in the subcontinent community as well. So it's doing great work. But let's get into the main sort of topic that we've got Alia down for today, and that is obviously forced marriages. Now, everyone must have heard that in the media right now that just only 2 days ago, a mother of a teenager who married off a daughter to someone twice her age has been convicted. And Ali, if I'm not mistaken, this is like one of the very few convictions that have taken place. As we know, it's I think women rights lobbies, campaigners have been campaigning for the last 10 years to make this illegal, to make forced marriages illegal. And after all this campaigning, people know the reality out there. This is the second conviction that has taken place. However, inshallah, let's hope this is a landmark ruling that will bring it all out, and we will hopefully see more convictions take place in this illegal act.
I think also to help a lot of communities to have a changed perspective on it. The FMU, which is the Forced Marriage Unit, released some statistics in 2018. So for the current statistics, the amount of advice and support that they provided to young people who might be the victims of possible forced marriage was 1,196. That gives you an idea of the number of people that are contacting helplines and trying to figure out how they can get support. It is only because of the landmark case now that a lot of young people will have the confidence to reach out. And to all of them, I say, reach out. Go and talk to somebody. No matter how afraid you are, talk to a teacher, talk to a counselor. There are so many women's support services out there. Call one of them.
Definitely. No, we will go on to that. Definitely. And I wanted to discuss the, was it the FMU you're calling it?
FMU is the Forced Marriage Unit.
Yeah.
They were set up back in, I believe, 2012. They've provided support since 2012 to 1,400 individuals.
Wow.
Per year.
Per year.
Per year.
Okay.
Since then. So since 2017, there's been a 19% decrease in the number of reported cases.
Okay.
But that's probably because a lot of it is now becoming a lot more underground.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now that there's been a prosecution, I think the likelihood that it will become even more underground, that would be a concern.
Yes.
So I think it's about trying to find out. It's difficult to understand the mindset. Being a born and bred Londoner, for somebody like myself, I do come from quite a traditional Kashmiri family background. However, my family have not really said to me, you need to get married to this person and off you go. And it's going to happen. So I think it's a difficult stage because we're having, on the one hand, we're having families that look as if they're integrated, but then we're not really having the integration. It all seems to be a very, very scary cultural element. Because we need to remember that forced marriage has no place in Islam.
Doubt.
Absolutely none whatsoever. Looking at the cases, for myself, just looking from the forced marriage unit's current statistics, out of the 1,196, 436 cases were of Pakistani origin. 129 cases were of Bangladeshi origin, 91 cases were of Somali origin, and 82 were of Indian origin. There were also a small number of individuals from South America and the traveller community. So it's not something that is specific to one community, although it does seem to be quite prevalent within South Asian communities.
It absolutely does look like it. To explore this culture that we've just mentioned now, I'm sure that individuals can really connect to this, where I can give an example. I'm going to give my own example, where we have, not my own example, I want, alhamdulillah, forced marriages, but
Your
example,
wife's lovely.
example, exactly, wife's lovely. Now, my parents, I can openly, because I'm, for me, it doesn't bother me talking about it. It's important to talk about it. My mom, 100%, it was a forced marriage, without a doubt, whether it was the culture. So now, Ali, I want us to somehow break this down to where has this evolved from? Why is forced marriages around? Because just looking at my parents' situation, my mom was 100%. She just told us the story. It was like she was sitting there, and all of a sudden, her father, which is my grandfather, came to her and said, "This is who you're marrying."
I think a lot of the time,
there's no questions asked, whether you like it or not. And to me, it was instilled in their culture.
Yes.
That is what they expected. That, yeah, okay, my dad's going to tell me who I'm going to marry, or whether I like it or not, I'll have to get married. What kind of culture is that?
See, I find that quite hard to understand. My culture is very rural, and although my parents did have an arranged marriage also, it wasn't the type that was, there's the person and you're going to marry them. They had the opportunity to meet and talk to each other and say yes or no, whether they liked each other or not. So I think it depends on the families, and it depends on how ingrained the situations are. I think people also need to take into account the financial gain, and a lot of the time, the visa elements. because a lot of these young girls and boys that are being forced into marriage are British, American, European, and they're being forced into marriages from individuals that don't hold any of those passports. There seems to be a culture of betrothing children when they are born.
No, but what kind of... So obviously you mentioned that, passports. Now, that is a stereotype that we have, that they want to come here just because they want the brown passport or whatever color it's going to be. Now, or blue, whatever it is. Now, that is something that, surely it can't just be the reason, or is that, so you're telling me
it's
a
not,
mother,
it's
a
not
mother
the
is sitting there, she's got a daughter there, and she's saying to her daughter, she's instilled in her mind that my daughter's going to marry someone from back home so that he can come here.
Yes.
Wow.
It's also it's not just the one element of it's a whole abuse scenario. If you just look at it from purely an abusive way of looking, the individuals that are forcing these people into the marriages are perpetrators. So they're perpetrators of abuse. The way that it's manifested is, you owe us. So it's put it to these people from maybe a generation before them that they somehow owe these people, and the only way that they can come out of it is by intermarrying. Also looking at what might be the ideological side behind it. That is a difficult one in itself, because when you look at the norm for what was for somebody who came from Pakistan and wasn't necessarily born in this country, to them that was probably a normal cultural side of things. When you grow up, when you're of a certain age, you're going to get married, and your parents are going to select who you get married to. Most of the time there have been meetings beforehand, and people are introduced, and it's done in a very nice way. When it's done in a forced marriage way, what I find is that most of the time the young individuals have already been agreed to being married by elders.
Yeah, this is as they get born, right? When they when they're born, the contracts are already agreed.
Yes, I mean, I had a joke where my mum used to, not my mum, but my friend, my mum's friend used to say, "Oh, you're going to get married to such and such because that was agreed when you were born." And I just thought, oh, well, I'm an adult. I'm not going to do that. But I think when you have cases of young people being forced into it, looking at it from a Western perspective, if you like, a lot of the young people have grown up with a better education, have grown up with more opportunities, more options, being able to make their minds up for themselves, and not being a thing to be controlled, an object, rather than when you go to some countries in the subcontinent, even as a woman to speak, it's looked at as, why are you speaking? So I think there's a big cultural change. So it's difficult for the mother of a young person who may have been born here or have been brought up here to try and understand what they may think. They don't seem to understand. So I think a lot of it is to help these individuals to understand the cultural differences. But also, I think when it comes to forced marriage, the fact that somebody has now been prosecuted, I think, is brilliant.
Alia, you know, this is again, we need to understand this, that how can a mother, this is a mother who's just got prosecuted.
Yes.
There hasn't been mention of the father or whatever. It was the mother that has been officially
and
prosecuted.
She's probably been in that position herself.
Thank you. Now,
that's probably all she knows. However, that doesn't excuse her from being an abuser. The manipulation, the psychological warfare that was done on this person, the guilt that they're making them feel. I like to call it the guilt trip. So it's pretty much guilt tripping this individual through everything. Oh, you're going to bring shame on the family, and you're going to have no honor for the family, and you're going against religion. These are the things that are used upon young people to try and make them marry these people. And then, you know, at the end of the day, that's not going to last because it's based on something that nobody wants. And as soon as the person becomes strong enough, they will walk away.
See, when I just look at it more and I think, how can a mother and a father, you know, for me, a mother is someone that you turn to be protected,
Absolutely.
to be loved, to
Yes.
be cared, the tender love. And for the mother to raise her child, and then all of a sudden, when it comes to thinking about marriage, saying, okay, you know what? This person, my daughter would marry this person from back home for his visa purposes or whatever, whether it's double the size or double the age or whatever. And they're putting their child through this torture, you know,
Yes.
of getting forced marriage. When the culture around you is completely different, yet you're so engrossed in your own culture, you've been through the same hell. It just doesn't, because you know, for me,
it
I look
doesn't
at it
make
as-
sense.
because it doesn't make sense.
No,
because
it does
you
not
are
make
damaging,
sense.
You are damaging the relationship between a mother and her daughter, a mother and her son. You know,
Forever.
that bond
Yeah.
to be destroyed. I just don't understand. How can
So
how can you allow that? Because a child that has gone through that, hopefully let's say they survive the forced marriages and then come back and they're married with this individual. How are they going to look at their mother? How are they going to look at their father and think, I tried, like there was an example of this case. The girl on the day of the wedding grabbed her mom and said, "Mom, please, I don't want to get married. How can you do this?" She was crying through the whole ceremony. And yet her mother turned a blind eye to that.
You have to look at it also because we don't know the complete ins and outs of the case.
Of course.
There are some little specks that the mother was also coerced. And the specks that I've seen of her being coerced was the partner she was married to was the second husband. He was not the father of this particular child.
He was the stepfather, correct.
He was the stepfather. And it was his nephew that was the alleged husband to be. So this woman was also coerced. What we know, what we don't know, I think a lot of the time there is a large element of fear. On this occasion, it's been the mother that has been prosecuted. A lot of the time, the mothers are also coerced and pushed into the scenarios where they have to make it happen. I will give you an example of a case that I worked with of a young girl. She's now a grown woman. She's 38 now. I won't give her name just for confidentiality purposes. But working with her, she had a very similar case. Her her father said to her that she will get married, and she was 15 at the time. She was taken to Pakistan. She didn't agree to getting married, but when she was there, she just was so afraid. She didn't know what to do because she was threatened, etc. So she said, okay, just so that she could come back to England. She had made up her mind that when she returns to the UK that she will leave her family. Wow. So she married this person in just the Islamic ceremony. So there wasn't any other formalities involved. So when she came back to the UK, she contacted her partner in Pakistan and told him, "I'm divorcing you. I did not agree to the marriage. I was forced into it." And then she also left her family. She was supported by 2 organizations that work predominantly with South Asian women. And she moved out of the area. So the family was from West London. She moved out to Luton for a very, very long time. It's only in the last 2 years that she's made contact with her family, now as a grown adult. What she went through was horrific. As a 15-year-old girl, she was married to somebody. He then abused her. This is looking at it from a logical perspective. As a mother myself, I would never put my child through that. Never. I could not contemplate it. But then I think it comes from the cultures that you're within, the communities that you're also within, because there is another case that happened that I believe did go to court and the police were heavily involved, and it was a young girl from Hackney.
Yes.
And she was supported by the Southall Black Sisters, who provided her with support and actually saving her before she was taken to Pakistan and married.
Oh, wow.
So she was helped, but it was a lot of community involvement and pressure. Everybody was saying, oh, your daughter is westernized to the family, and that's why they thought that she needs to get married. So trying to understand it is difficult because, as you say, as a parent yourself, how could you put your child through that? Why would you put your child through that?
I mean, look, just as a youngster, I look at him and I think when I've had a go at him and I think, oh God, you know, he's upset. Look at his emotions. And you think, a person who's about to get married, you're literally putting him into, you know,
it's a life commitment.
Exactly. And you're putting him into that kind of lifestyle, a change, and they just don't seem to understand what, you know, as a mother, it gets me quite emotional thinking
I think it's
it
is infuriating.
Exactly.
But we have to try and understand it in its context. It's unfathomable how any logical person can force another person into doing something they don't want to do. But I think the main element is we need to get young people to understand that it is abuse. Pure and simple, it is abuse. It's not it might be a cultural thing. You may be pushed into it because it's approached to you in a religious way, but it has nothing to do with real faith.
Absolutely.
It also might be ingrained within generations of families, and that's the thing that we need to break. We need to break it via education, and we need to break it via more discussion. Discussion with the older community and discussion with the younger community, bringing them together and letting them have a conversation. How and where do you think, for myself, from speaking to a lot of the Asian communities, women of a certain age, they can be quite reserved. However, what you see on a day-to-day on outside is not what you're seeing behind closed doors. And that's where the problem lies. Because we're seeing this false level of integration that is not really happening. And I think the more people that are made aware that it's a prosecutable offence and there are real consequences, I think that is going to go towards reducing the numbers.
Right. There needs to be a much more awareness, and I think this case coming out, and thank God they've got the conviction. I think you know what, it will hopefully spark, you know, something that there is.
See, there have been a lot of women and a lot of women's groups campaigning for this for a long time. It
seems like it.
But it's just now, like the women's movements that are now starting to gain momentum and gain ground, I think that's what's now starting to happen. Also, we have, you know, this young girl who gave evidence, she had special needs.
Wow.
So in addition to that, she was vulnerable.
I think she had two abortions. I think they
exactly
as well. Yeah,
which is forbidden within faith.
Yeah.
So you need to look at what were these people doing. They weren't looking at this individual as a human being, but more as an object of their own control. So I think it comes down to anybody that behaves in that way is a perpetrator and abuser and should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. But also we need to have within our own communities now real discussions to stop and prevent, to hold people to account. You know, people of my generation, almost hitting 40, we're not too far off from some of these people that are still perpetrating. So we can have discussion and hold groups and really get people engaged with why do you still feel it's acceptable to bring somebody up in a comfortable, happy life with a good education and the world at their feet, and then say to them, okay, now you're going to get married, and why did you bother doing any of that in the first place?
Wow, exactly. This is, and you know, with what I want to talk about now is that the torment of forced marriages. Let's say that's done, they've come here. What happens after that now? You've got things like domestic violence that kicks off. the abuse that you mentioned, raping, all this stuff that goes on from there. It's just a never-ending.
It's an ongoing cycle, and it won't end until that particular individual gains their own strength to say, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. And then you also have to think how scary it is for a person to walk away from their family, to walk away from everything they've ever known, their culture, their community. A lot of the time within these cases, the individual has to go very, very, very far away in order to restart their life. And even then there are cases where these people will find them and then they will have honor killings because these people have shamed them. So it is a vicious circle. And within some communities, you are not allowed to leave your partner. Within certain communities, you must stay with them. There is no discussion. There is
shame.
no...
Yes. Shame on the family,
It's shame. It's the honor of the family. So I think it's about really getting to grips with understanding. The number of cases is quite alarming. The fact that it happens...
And these are reported cases.
These are reported cases.
It's got to be a lot more. It's got to be a lot more.
What is happening with the cases that we're not hearing about and that we're not seeing?
I mean, I just request all the listeners now, that, you know, during school time, I remember this was like, it became almost, you know, it's embarrassing to say, but at that time it was a joke. We used to say some... You know, what the Asian...
Oh, you're going to summer. Yeah, you're going to be married when you come back.
We're going to Pakistan for some holidays. We're so excited. And we'd be joking, you're not getting married, are you? And they're like, nah, don't be silly. And then they come back, we're married. I think, wow, you know, what's happened there? And it seems that was it was a regular occurrence then, and it still is a regular occurrence now. But it seems to be more, I suppose, vicious now. Or I suppose it was vicious then.
Now it's a lot more vicious and a lot more forced and a lot more contrived. And it seems to be a lot more organized, which is why we need more prosecutions. Because a lot of these young ladies, like this particular case that was just prosecuted, she was bribed into going back because she knew something's not right. She was given a brand new spanking phone, and she was told it's a nice holiday and it's all going to be great and wonderful. But how can you, after your daughter's been abused by somebody and having to have a termination, then say you're going to go and marry the perpetrator?
And to go into a legal perspective, you're going to marry your 16-year-old daughter, 15-year-old daughter, 18-year-old daughter to someone back home who is considerably older, let's say.
16 years older he was.
In this
situation.
Now, again, very regular instance. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not a legal lawyer, immigration lawyer, but the girl has to be in a working environment to have pay slips and so on, and has to be over the age of 21 for her to call someone over. So how can you even put someone in that situation?
Well, what they do is they secure the marriage, and then there's a paper trail. So what will happen is, for example, with this case, the girl was 13 when she first encountered this person. He abused her. She came back. She went through all that torment. She was then constantly tormented and being told that this abuser is your husband. After years and years and years, she finally got strong enough, but she still went back and was still forced to marry this guy. She was fortunate enough that she was able to return, because a lot of the time they don't allow them to return until they're of working age. And then when they become of working age, they are then kept under lock and key by the family.
Oh, so you're saying even if they get married at 16, they will have to remain there until... Wow.
There are some instances where the girls will remain in that country, or they will come back to the country of origin and sometimes reside with the spouse's family and or their own family, but as a servant, as a product. It's very hard to try and contemplate, but you have to try and look at it from, as you say, from the legal perspective. That's why it's pure abuse. When it's somebody under the age of 16 in this country, it's child abuse, and there are laws against that. But these people waited. She was abused, and then they waited for her to be 18 so that the marriage could be legally valid, so that they could start doing the paperwork. When you're 18, you can legally be married, and then you can start the process and the legal paperwork. So if she had a nikah, which is a Muslim marriage, she could have had that up until the age of about 16, I believe. Then it's permitted after 16. Having the nikah done, they are then promised to each other, and they are inevitably married within the Islamic culture. And then when she would return to the UK and then go back, they would then do a second ceremony when she's 18 for the purposes of visas and integrating the person into a Western society and bringing them over. But then that in itself just shows the level of calculated, manipulative type of behavior that is being conducted by the families. And surely everyone will agree that nobody who truly loves their child would ever want to do that to them. Why give them the education when you're just going to say you can't have it?
It just makes you think that, what mindset? I still cannot.
I could not fathom it, no.
I mean, you've dealt with many cases. I'm sure you've had interactions with the parents.
I have.
And the mindset.
And I've been called everything under the sun for saying to these people, look, it's not correct what you're doing. And then even having to explain to them from the Muslim side of things, as it's not Islamic, it's not correct. You're coercing these people. What you're doing is not right. But then when you speak to individuals, because it's so ingrained within them, and it's happened to them, it's happened to their mothers, it's happened to their mothers, it's happened to their mothers, they don't quite understand it. It's not across all families, and it's not across all cultures, but we need more Muslim people, and more particularly Pakistani and Bangladeshi people, to stand up, the good individuals, the good parents that are educating their children and are having maybe what the new arranged marriages are, which are you meet somebody, your parents are constantly showing you photographs of people, and do you like this person, and oh, what about that person, and going to a wedding and all these types of things. That is the normal process of community and introducing people, and maybe you might hit it off. But forced marriage is a completely different ball game. It's done via manipulation. It's done to scare people. I've been in an instance where I've had the brother of a young girl whom was not allowed to go out once she turned 18 because she was going to get married, but she wanted to become a civil engineer. This is in East London and not too far from here. And I had this young boy come to me and try to threaten me and say to me, well, if you don't stop helping her, then I'm going to do stuff to you. And I said to him, well, I will report you. I'm not afraid of you. So if you want to behave like a criminal, you'll be treated like one. But I think at the same time, when I spoke to the mother of the young girl, she was, I would say, a victim herself. Because she was surrounded by these very controlling and quite scary men. And she was trying to say, I want my daughter to have an education, and I want my daughter to have a life, and I want my daughter to do things, but I can't stand up against these people because that's all I know.
Wow. As we are getting very short of time, I'm gonna say something. You know what? Stuff like this needs radical thought, I suppose.
We need more conversation.
More conversation. Now, one thought that comes to my mind now is, I would even go far to an extent and say, ban marriages from abroad. There's enough women here, guys. There's enough women here that are single. Maybe you should consider getting married here, and maybe we should. But there is a call on the line. Oh God, here we go. This is gonna be interesting. So we've got to press a button and put this up. Assalamu alaikum, caller. You're live on Ramadan FM 2018.
Hi. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Wa alaikum, I'm good. Yes, what would you like to say?
No, I've just got a comment because I've been listening in to what you guys are saying, discussion that you guys are having, and I just feel like
Sorry, sister, you seem to be breaking up on us. One second.
Oh,
Just bear with me.
Okay.
Let me just see if I can get something sorted here. Let's put our volume down a bit. Can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, yep, carry on, sorry.
Yeah. No, I've just got a comment, like listening into this discussion, and I was going to say that there is so much cultural pressures to get married, like especially for young girls. And like as a young 26-year-old girl going through this whole marriage process, I just feel like the pressures culturally to get married is so high. And there's this perception amongst our culture that if you're not married by the age of 26, like something's wrong with you. And although you know it has gradually changed over the generations, there's still this huge pressure to get married at a certain age, and that plays such a huge part, especially for me and like all of my friends as young girls who do want to get married, but the pressures around us of finding someone and like this whole tick box system that they have to meet certain criterias and everything like that. I think it's just such a huge pressure, and I just wanted to add that to your discussion.
It's good that you've added that, because it's quite scary, even for myself as a 40-year-old who's always on the lookout for Mr. Right. I still am finding whenever I go and visit my mother, I'm still, oh, have you met somebody and when are you going to get married?
Yeah,
and
absolutely, yeah.
There is a cultural stereotype to it, but I think we need to look at, as a 26-year-old, I have 4 sisters, so we always laugh and say, if you're not married by 15, you're past it, love.
15.
That's our joke. But I think nowadays, as you say, it is difficult because with the pressures of working life, university, colleges, etc., and then family commitments, etc., it is difficult. And I think we don't really have a big community when we're looking for partners either. There isn't that kind of pool of, oh, let me go and see, you know, there's a whole group every Friday that hang out there. Let's go and mingle with them. So I think...
Yeah, and I think, you're right. And I think that, like, there's this, like, especially as, like, within my generation, you know, we've been brought up to be educated, to get a job, to do all of that. But then you're expected to drop everything when you get married for a husband.
Oh, yes.
And me, personally, I'm not like that. Like, you know,
I think you're joined by many women.
Yeah, like, my perception of marriage is quite open-minded. Like, getting married is not going to be my be all and end all. Like, my husband is, like, obviously he's going to be a huge part of my life, but I'm more than capable of living my life independently without without depending on a husband. And I feel like having that perception really puts me personally outside of the box, because you're not meant to have that perception. You know, you're in our culture, especially, you're meant to get married and you're meant to live essentially for your husband, and that's not the way that's not the way that I think, and that's not the way that I'm going to think about marriage.
That's good that you don't think that way, and you shouldn't think in the cultural way, because it's incorrect. I think over generations of time, it's just kind of been the norm, because women within those communities and those cultures didn't necessarily have careers or work. A lot of them were housewives, so it was kind of perceived the norm. But as you say, now it's about finding that balance between the two, which is very difficult. And it's also about finding somebody that has that mindset that will match your mindset.
And that's more difficult, because a lot of the guys want someone who is closed-minded and who is going to stay at home and, you know, be essentially a housewife, which is fine for some girls, like, absolutely.
Moose is giving me funny looks over here. He's not one of those, I'm afraid.
No, but there are guys.
There are very rare and few between, I think.
Yeah,
I think as you say, it's very. We need to kind of try and get to grips with this cultural thing.
Yes.
Because I think when it comes to a lot of the men and women, it's ingrained to them via their families. So it's about trying to understand, well, where does this come from? Surely marriage is a partnership of two people growing and dwelling in their life together forever.
Yeah.
And building that life
equality.
together.
Yeah, it's about, I do, and I believe that, like, marriage is about that equality between, like a man and his wife. It's not, I'm not gonna, like, come home and cook for you and clean for you. Like, I work 12 hours a day as well. I think that's what that's what a lot of guys have that perception, because that's
and I
all
think
they've
that's
known,
where
but
forced marriages comes into it
Yeah,
quite heavily
yeah.
as well, because these guys have kind of, not all of them, but some of them have been brought up to think in that mindset, and when they realise that a woman in this country may not accommodate that kind of behaviour, then they will go back home. So I think that's also an element for, it's an element of the mother-in-law syndrome as well, where you have...
Oh, God, yeah.
Well, don't start that.
It's a cultural element where you kind of have the mother-in-law who would want the daughter to not have a life, to drop everything and then become the carer of that man and that man's family.
On that note, Alia, that in itself
is a
whole debate.
Yeah, no,
and I'm sure we couldn't. And let's not put the sister off marriage. Let's not put the sister off marriage.
I would say to you, there are lots of amazing people out there. It's a really amazing, valid point that you've raised.
Yes.
There are, I think, a lovely Arab friend of mine who I've known for many, 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 many years said to me, and it made me laugh my face off. She said to me just the other day, "You fasted for so long. Why do you want to break your fast with an onion?"
Wow.
And that goes for the fella that you might look for in the future. If he's an onion, then you're not going to break your fast.
You're not going to have any joy
You
with an
know,
onion.
you're going to keep fasting until you find the lovely juicy apple.
But sister, thank you very much for your call.
Thank
It
you so
took a lot
much.
of courage for you to ring in and discuss. Very good, very good. Keep in touch with Ramadan FM 2018 as well, inshallah.
I will
Take
do.
care. Take care,
Thank you.
inshallah.
Take care.
Assalamu
Good
alaikum.
luck.
Mashallah, that was a great call from the sister who rang in to discuss and talk about her thoughts of hopefully getting into the marriage circle as well. So now, Ali, I'm just going to come to the close and mention that what is your thoughts? I know I've just said this and put it out there, but I would even go to that extent, but I know it's going to cheese off a lot of listeners as well. But, potentially banning marriages from abroad, saying only UK marriage is allowed. That's a bit of a UKIP one,
Well,
isn't it?
I think you're having a bit of a Brexit moment, really, Mus. But I think if you really think about it, it's something that would need to be looked at. We do have, I think, like you do in the recruitment industry,
I'm cheesing people off already.
when you have looked for for a potential spouse in this country, if you must demonstrate that you've looked and looked and looked before you can go abroad. I think there needs to be some kind of criteria, maybe within the Home Office, or within certain mosques, etc., where there needs to be a criteria of you must have at least met 5 eligibles within the UK before you can go abroad.
Could you imagine the carnage if that was introduced?
Well, I think it would help towards reducing the seriousness of forced marriage. It would help towards helping sisters like the one that just called, finding somebody that is good and not having to feel that, I have to just go back home and marry somebody. And it will also take away that perception. I think there needs to be real discussions with people about, have you looked in this country first? And are those two people compatible?
Yeah.
Because we're not looking at compatibility. Because if you look at most of the statistics for people that are entered into forced marriage, as you said earlier, unfortunately, most of them don't end well, and they do end.
Okay, Alia, we've already gone way over time, and I'm
Thank
getting
you,
waves from there. Just the last thing before we close it. If there is a situation of forced marriage, whether it's a brother or a sister going through this scenario, their best place of contact is the forced marriage unit? Is that where they would go to as their first protocol?
Depending on where you live, there are numbers and numbers of organizations. You can contact any women's rights organizations, from Asian Women's Resource Center to South All Black Sisters to various organizations within East London. You can also look at the forced marriage unit. You can contact them directly if
That
you're
is a government unit.
It's a government unit set up for this. If you're under the age of 16, you can also contact Childline, who will give you the right information. And on a worst case scenario, you could always contact social services, who are duty bound to support young people with forced case marriages support, and also the police force, who are now becoming a lot more aware and better trained at dealing with these circumstances.
Good. No, that's very helpful. And guys, any
Thank
of the
you.
listeners out there listening, if you need to want to get in touch with Alia, you can just go on our Facebook page on Ramadan FM 2018. I've tagged her into that as well. Or if you need to just speak to myself, and I can get you Alia's details directly as well. And I'm sure she's willing to speak to you if needed be as well. Once again, Alia, thank you so
You're
much
welcome.
for popping
But
down.
final
and
word is
taking
just
on-
reach
Yes.
out. If you need the help, just reach out.
Reach out. There you go. Simple as that. Definitely. Don't stay in silence and let your life just waste away like that. Inshallah, guys, stay tuned. From a serious topic of discussing forced marriages, we have the comedian who's going to be entering and talking to us, the king of freshie comedy, they call him. But let's see what will happen. Inshallah, I hope he doesn't mind. I know I've left it a bit late, but we will be joining him shortly after this commercial break. So guys, please keep listening to Ramadan FM 2018, and we will be back shortly with the whole dream team, inshallah. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.